Once upon a time in olden Scotland, there is a young princess named Merida from the Dunbrock family, and she is throwing a big celebration for her birthday. Her father, King Fergus Curfeurus, thinks it's a great idea to give her a bow and arrow as a gift, but oh dear, that doesn't make her mom, Queen Eleanor, very happy. Merida goes into the woods to get an arrow and suddenly discovers a magical thing called a will-o'-the-wisp. But wait, right after that, a huge scary bear named Mordu shows up and causes chaos at the party. It's complete mayhem. Merida jumps on a horse with Eleanor, and Fergus and his group go all out to fight Mordu. Unfortunately, the king loses a leg in the fight. Ouch! Fast forward 10 years, and Merida receives some bad news. She has to marry the son of one of her dad's friends. Eleanor tells her, "You should agree, or our family's future will be in trouble." Just like that story about the prince who messed everything up by not listening to his dad. So, the other family leaders and their sons arrive, thinking they can win Merida's heart through some Highland games. But Merida isn't interested. She says, "I'm participating in these games too." She joins the archery contest and beats those guys easily. Then, after a big argument with Eleanor, she runs into the forest. That's when things get interesting. Strange lights appear and led her to the house of an old witch. Merida asks, "Hey, can you help my mom?" The witch says, "Of course, but first, have this special cake." So after Merida gives her mom, Eleanor, the special cake, something extraordinary happens. Eleanor turns into a bear. She can't speak anymore, but she's still intelligent. Merida decides to go back to the witch's house with Eleanor. There, they find a message from the witch. It's like, "Merida, you need to mend the bond you broke within your family by the next morning, or your mom will stay as a bear forever." Talk about pressure! The lights guide them to some old ruins, and guess who appears? Mordu! Merida figures out that this big, mean bear used to be a prince from that story. She promises not to let her mom end up like him. Merida realizes she needs to fix the family artwork she damaged. During their big argument, they return to the castle, and it's a mess. The families are about to go to war. Merida's all set to give in and choose a suitor as tradition dictates. But Eleanor's like, "No, let the firstborns choose their partners whenever they want." The families agree, changing the old rules but strengthening their alliance. Merida sneaks into the art room with Eleanor. But oh no, here comes Fergus. Eleanor loses control for a moment and attacks him, but then she regains her senses and runs off as a bear. Fergus, thinking his wife got eaten by Mordu, goes chasing after her with the other families, and Merida's imprisoned in the castle. But no worries, her 3 younger brothers, who also ate the special cake, are now bear cubs and help her escape. It's a real berry adventure. Alright, so Merida gets herself together and fixes that damaged artwork. Then she goes after her dad, Fergus. The families manage to capture Eleanor, but Merida steps in and stops them just in time, right before the real Mordu arrives. Now Mordu's ready for a fight with the family warriors, and he's focused on Merida. But Eleanor jumps in, holds off Mordu, and he gets crushed under a big stone. Ouch! This frees the spirit of the prince, who silently thanks Merida and turns into a light. Merida wraps her mom in the repaired artwork as the second morning comes, but she's still a bear. She thinks it's all for nothing, but then she has a heartfelt conversation with Eleanor, asking for her back. Little did she know, this is what the witch meant all along. The spell on her mom and brothers starts to reverse, like magic. With Mordu gone, Merida and Eleanor get busy working on a completely new artwork. After bidding farewell to the other families at the harbor, they ride their horses off into the sunset. And that's how this story comes to an end.